Welcome back to our Satisfactory Let's Play. We're already on episode 7, so don't hesitate to check in the video description below. If you missed the previous episode, you can find the playlist so that you can watch from start to now. We started of course with tier 0, the tutorial, and starting moving up the tiers and building a factory for each resources. For each and every resources, we're building a specific dedicated factory with 100% productivity. And today this is a super exciting episode because we'll finally have unlimited power. We're going to move from those biomass furnaces where we always need to add more and more biomass, so it's a pain, to unlimited power with coal. Not unlimited in the sense that we can use as much electricity as we want forever, but unlimited in the sense that we don't have to touch it. Once you've really set it up perfectly, then you never have to touch it because you're gonna have everything coming automatically into it. But before that, if you remember, in the last episode, we discovered our first hard drive that I put in the map. We've done the analysis of this hard drive, and based on this, we've unlocked new recipes. We have a choice between those 3 recipes, and basically we can choose only one. So we do have to be a bit smart. Some of those recipes are amazing, some of these are not so amazing, and also some of these maybe are not, the ones we need right now. To be honest, over here, I actually don't see something I really love right away. For a couple of reasons. The first one is that, those 2 over here need the refinery. I don't have the refinery right now. It's gonna take me some time to actually get it. This one is the assembler, so we could use it. But we actually just built in the last episode a rotor factory that's building, I think, 20 rotors per minute. So I don't really want to rechange it completely now. And on top of that, it uses a lot of copper sheet. I don't have a lot of copper. So basically right now, I think we're gonna choose this one over here, the wet concrete. And the key reason is not so much that I need more concrete right now. It's because I know that this recipe is actually quite useful in the future when we have excess water, water as a byproduct, for example, and we want to make sure to use it. Well, we can use it with a bit of limestone, and limestone is everywhere in the world, right? And then make concrete that we can use or that we can dump into a sink. So this is a useful recipe in the future. On top of that, I've actually found a couple of other things on the map. In between the 2 episodes, I've actually found another hard drive, but this takes 10 minutes to analyze. So before we do that, let me show you what else we could be looking at. We have, for example, enough to make this one over here. So let's do it. This doesn't really give us access to anything, except it gives us access to this one over here, which is pretty good. It's a gun, basically. So instead of attacking all of our enemies, with our small taser, now we would be able to shoot them from a distance and therefore, lose less health. It's a good one to unlock. Then similarly over here, I finally found a number of nuts, so we're able to do this medical inhaler. The medical inhaler is pretty good because basically it restores your full health. Things like the nuts or the berries, they give you usually 1 bar of health. This will give you just the full health, so pretty good one to have. Then unfortunately for this one over here, we're gonna need a lot of steel beam. We don't have that yet. And for this one, we also need quite advanced materials like the crystal oscillator and the high-speed connector, which we don't have. So let's move on to the next one, the caterium. I found just a bit more caterium on the map. So we're able to do now this one that unlocks the ingots. And this is basically a full chain of production. We have the ore, then we have the ingots, and then we're going to be able to start doing things with those ingots. For example, we're going to be able to build those quick wires, and then later on many other things. But to do that, we will definitely need to really set up a real factory on a node of caterium. And it's the same for the ones below. As you can see, we're going to need some of those resources. So we're a bit blocked on this one. Then we've also unlocked the mycelia, basically by cutting some special trees that I'll show you. So we can do this first one, which enables us to transform this mycelia into biomass. And more importantly, to unlock a few new things. In particular over here, we have the fabric that will be useful in the future. Medical property on that side will require some stators we don't have yet. And this one will require some nobelix, we're definitely not there yet. So let's move on. Nutrients, we have found some nuts, so let's do it. We can't do this one because we need steel pipes, but we'll be able to do it quite soon, I think. Power slug, we're still missing this purple one. And then on quartz, I found just a bit more quartz, so we can also unlock the silica on this side. But to move further, we're gonna do the same than for caterium. We're gonna need to have, mines on real nodes of raw quartz. Otherwise, this is gonna be too complex. We need 100 of those things, and each of those things costs 3 or something. So it's gonna take some time to get there. And then lastly, we also found the last one, the sulfur. I'll show you in a second where I found it. And with that, we'll then be able to scan for it and unlock quite a few other interesting elements. Okay, I think that's enough for the MAM for now. So indeed, let's move to our power. So right now, we have only power on this base over here, right? But in the last episode, remember, we found a new clearing on the other side over here, right? The first thing I did is I just dragged, power from here and started making poles along the way to just bring the power all the way over there. When you create a new place like this is what I would suggest, right? You bring the power from your main base, or you could also, if it's especially a very small base, you could, just put new biomass burner in a new base, but that will get old very soon. Then while I was doing that, I also started clearing. There was tons of trees and bushes over here. You can see now I've cleared most of them. There are still a lot on the sides, but not in the middle. So I've cleared a lot to get, a clean path. Maybe in the future we'll even have a highway there, we'll see. But yeah, I started to clean that. We can't kill those ones yet. We'll be able to when we have Obelix, but we don't have that now. But I gotten all the way over here. Here, this is the type of trees that will give you some mycelium. If we cut them like this, you'll see I got 23 mycelium for this one. So as I said, I brought the power all the way up to where we found the coal, right? Remember, we found 4 different coal nodes over here. I think 3 are pure and 1 is normal. I brought it over here. And another small tip, is I actually built one of those equipment workshop and bench, because that way if you need to craft something very quick, in particular the equipment workshop is really useful to craft a couple of portable miners, right? So you don't have to transport them. Then I also dropped a couple of personal storage boxes so that I could drop all of my resources, have some reserve, so I don't have to go back and forth. And then here it is, I started building the coal factory after cleaning the area. I'm using the 2 nodes that are over here, very close to the water. That way those 2 nodes that are a bit more in the back can be used more for steel. Well, yeah, we have over here, the first miner. This is a miner Mark 1 on the normal node. And then over here we have also Mark 1, but on pure node. I put a small foundation in here to make it clean. And then to produce energy, we need this coal plus water. So these are the water extractor at the bottom over here. And those buildings, the coal generators, they take a lot of space. So I decided to just put them up, right? Let's go up for me to show you exactly how we did that. So we have some of the coal that comes this way, some of the coal that goes this way. This one is only 60, so it stays in one belt. This is this one belt that goes in the back over here and gets split into 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. On the other hand, for this one, right at the start, this is a belt 2 because it's 120. So at this point over here, we split it. We split it into 4 on this side and 4 on that side. So that means we have 12 generators. As always, let me show you quick calculations I made. Basically, as I said, it's 12 generators. Each generator is making 75 megawatts. So we're getting 900 megawatts. You may remember that so far in the previous episode, we were making less than 400 with all of our biomass. And that was taking so much to just put biomass all the time. Now we have 900, so more than double, and we never need to touch it. For those 12, we do need 180 coal, so it's all the coal that we're producing because it's 15 coal per production. And then we're gonna need 540 of water. It's quite a lot, and for now our pipe are only limited to 300 because each of the coal generator will require 45 water per minute. So if we just divide that straight, this is 4.5. So we could have just 4 and overclock it, we could have just 5 and underclock it. I've actually done it slightly different. I'm underclocking them quite a bit, but I have 6 of them. Why? Because I'm creating pods of 2 coal generators. Because 2 coal generators are going to need 180, which is easy to do with 2 water extractors that are underclocked, right? So that instead of providing 120 each, they provide 90. With that, those water generators will also consume a lot less electricity, so it's more efficient. It does take a bit more space, but honestly, I definitely have the space, so that was not a problem at all. So these are pods of 2 water extractors feeding 4 coal generators with 60 of coal. Right, so all of the belts are also easy, all of the pipes are easy, and I'll show you that in a second. Of course, as always, don't hesitate if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, I'd love to hear about them. But going back into our factory, you know, I've explained the call. As I said, right, it's 60 per block of 4 generators, 4 generators, 4 generators, and 4 generators there. And then it's going to be one pipe, right? Because one pipe is limited to 300 and we only need 180. So it's all good to have one pipe. And that one pipe is always linked to 2 water extractors. So that's why I currently have 6 water extractors. We have 2 of these over here that are connected by this pipe and then going up into this hole over here. Then we have those 2 over here going up into this pipe. And lastly, the 2 at the back over here, again, as always, sort of just connected in the front by one pipe and then up into this hole. And that's what you can see over here, right? We have the first one, the first hole is going over there, the second over there, and the third is on the complete other side. Let's go up for me to show you that in practice. So all of this is of course my logistic layer, right? It's hidden, and then on top of feeding the generators. Let me go up one of those generators so it's a bit easier for me to show you, right? We have 4 of these in this first lane, 4 of these in the second lane, 4 of these in the third lane, right? And they're connected quite easily. For the call, it's just an elevator, right? Where 1 elevator, 2 elevator, 4 elevators, that's easy. Then we also need to give some water. And water is actually quite bad to feed from below. Because if you feed from below because of gravity, you may have some issue. So it's always best to feed water or other fluids from either the same level or even above. Here I've chosen to do it from the same level. So we have the water coming from a hole over here and then going straight. And then it's just a classic manifold, right? We go into this one, we continue, go into this one, we continue, go into this one, continue. So nothing extraordinary, but don't hesitate to ask if you have any questions, you know, how that's working. And for me, it's also very easy to then upgrade this, you know, to scale it. For example, when we upgrade this miner from Mark 1 to Mark 2 and double the coal production, where instead of feeding into those 4, then I can put 4 more on this side, right? And I just need to have a splitter on the coal. And of course, add 2 more water generators. As always, I just finished the factory, so I haven't made it pretty at all. Don't hesitate to tell me in the comments if there's a specific type of factory you want me to make it into, if you want me to close at the bottom or leave the bottom open, those type of things. But with that, our electric capacity has moved from basically 400 or so to almost 1300 megawatts, and we're producing always the same. You know, we don't need to feed anything anymore. And right now, all of my biomass burner have stopped, right? There's only the coal ones that are working. Because if my consumption were to jump above, right, go above 900, then the biomass burner would restart. But the reality is we can probably just delete those biomass for now. We're quite far from, you know, the max. So we have done a couple of objectives. We have connected the power, we have cleaned the area, we have done our coal power. I also wanted to show you where you can find some sulfur easily. This is just behind this pure coal node over here. So here it is, we're getting some. And with that, hopefully that will be enough to unlock in the MAM, you know, the sulfur nodes. Now that we have this new power source, all of my factories that we've built in the past, you know, the reinforced concrete factory, the rotor factory, the smart plating factory, the screw factory, all of these are working, you know, they're all working perfectly, no problem. So we can safely move on. And in the short term, I see 2 key objectives. The first one is we're gonna be able to start using coal to make steel. The second is that I want to start having real production of those other resources, things like caterium, sulfur, and quartz. And then with all of that, of course, comes a lot of new resources for which we need to build specific factories. There's also one resource from the previous tiers, those modular frames that we haven't made yet or haven't automated. So we should definitely do that. Also, don't hesitate to share in the comments, you know, if you have any specific objectives, any things you want me to show in this Let's Play, I'd love to hear about that. Thank you for watching, don't hesitate to smash the like button, and I hope to see you next time.